On today's show, we have plenty to discuss. I'll go over my top 15 offensive guards for the 2024 draft. Also, are the Miami Dolphins showing heavy interest in Xavier Worthy? We will talk about that. Also, Mike McDaniel called Tyreek Hill out after the Kansas City Chiefs loss. Plus, we'll discuss a ton regarding the draft in general. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Down the near side, that open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one on this beautiful Monday. Hope everyone's having a fantastic start to the week. Let's start it off right with some draft content, as it is the week of the 2024 NFL Draft. Remember, I'll be live for round 1 on Thursday, and I'll be live for round 2 on Friday. You know where you got to have it locked in for the best pick-by-pick draft analysis that exists in this community. You know where it is. It's right here on Phinside The NFL. So make sure you tune in for that. We're going to go over a little bit today. Just a few updates for all of you. Ryan Roberts, Saturday night, we were sitting down to record. I was going to upload the video yesterday at around 10 a.m., but he had a family emergency literally 20 minutes into us getting ready to record, right? We were talking backstage, sitting backstage, getting ready to fire it up. And he had a family emergency that took him away. So I'll try and sneak him in. If anything, tomorrow is really the only open day I have. So if I could sneak him in tomorrow, I could sneak him in. If not, I'll have him on after the draft, and we'll go over the picks and such. As for this week, there will be a show tomorrow night, whether he comes or not. On Wednesday, me and Neil will do our annual hand-picked mock draft. Now, instead of doing 3 rounds, I think we might do 2, show you guys 2, and then play out the rest of the picks and tell y'all who we would be selecting in the 5th, 6th, and 7th, maybe. I don't know, but there's no point in doing 3 rounds. We're not even picking in the 3rd round. So I know we'll at least do 2 rounds, and then we'll figure it out from there, all right? So there will be a live mock draft, and it will be hand-picked. It won't be using a simulator, won't be anything like that. We do it every year. So check out Wednesday, me and Neil. You're not going to want to miss that. It's one of, our best draft shows every year, considering me and him talk about the draft all year round on this channel. So check that out. And then obviously Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday I will be live. After day 3 concludes, I'll do like a recap of day 3. And then I'll be live on Sunday again, and it's going to be busy here. And then we'll get into prospect profiles of the guys that we actually draft, like I do every year, specific breakdowns of those players. So a lot of draft content still coming your way, even though the draft is only a few days away and going to be over. The draft content will not stop. Shout out to Brad Martin. He's out at it again. He gifted a membership. Shout out to you, Brad. And Chuck Fins Up was the benefactor of that. D-Hugga all day says they better not draft Worthy. We'll talk about it. Listen, another update for you guys. I'm going to have a 3 takes video dropping tonight. All right? I was just trying to get this guard video done. Going to have a 3 takes dropping tonight. I'm going to tell you the players that I'm hearing. All right? Okay? We'll talk about Worthy a little bit as we get into it, but I'm going to talk about the players I'm hearing. Okay, I'm going to talk about also the tight end position and what I'm hearing on the tight end position, which may surprise a lot of you. So if you're a member, Nike just gifted a membership here to Kurok. So if you're a member, a written version will be up under the community tab for channel members only, and the video version will be coming to Patreon tonight. It'll be talking a lot about the draft. There will be a lot of draft intel in that video, okay? So be out on the lookout for that one coming for all of y'all tonight. So good. We're going to talk about Worthy. We're going to talk about the tight end. We're going to talk about names I'm hearing. And you're going to start seeing what I'm seeing, especially with this Xavier Worthy talk. Timothy Washington gifted a membership, and Ryan AP was the benefactor of that. So if you're a Patreon, be out on the lookout for that. And if you're a channel member like Timothy, Knight, and Brad have just increased our membership, be out on the lookout. Go to the community tab. You can already see channel member only info right now. Another update will be coming for all of you tonight. All right. And it's going to be pretty much a lot about the draft. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about Javon Holland in that too. So it's 3 takes, but we'll be talking about a little bit more than just 3 things on that video tonight. Okay. So be out on the lookout for that. All right. Make sure you catch that if you're already a member, if you're already a Patreon. Okay. Make sure you're on the lookout for that. Now let's talk about a few things before we get into some of the topics I want to talk on my big board. Shout out to Rhino coming through. He said, oh, y'all doing 1 and 1. Y'all did 3 memberships. Let me top that. He comes in with 5. Ted S., Giancarlo Manzel, Dean H., JC1, and Astraf Sterling, all benefactors of that. Listen, I appreciate the donations today because, as we know, these usually tend to get demonetized because of the All-22 and XOS Digital Sports. So appreciate the donations coming through to the fam. If you can't donate, listen, it's free. It costs nothing. Subscribe if you're new. If not, if you are already subscribed, please just smash that like button. Help me out with my friend Al, everybody's pal, Algorithm. And here we go. Brad Martin says, hold up, big boy. Hold up, big boy. He gives 5 for a total of 6 today. 308 Big Trucks, Caramel Spartan, some of the names y'all come up with. Gregory Smith, Supreme Royale, and Zachary Pedre, all benefactors. And hey, they're all going to get that inside info tonight as new members. So shout out to all y'all for growing the community, helping out the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's a membership party on Phinside The NFL. So let's talk about a few things. Hold on. Last time I said that, all these memberships started coming. So first things first, we got to talk about it. You knew I was going to talk about it. I mean, who thought I was not going to talk about this? Zach Wilson. Zach. The MILF Hunter is a Bronco. Right? He's now officially a stallion going out there for Cougars. Oh boy. Let's talk about this today. Today he was traded to the Denver Broncos. Remember, they spent the 2nd overall pick for him, and they basically did a pick swap. The Jets got a 6th round pick, but they had to give up Wilson and a 7th round pick. So they moved up from 256 to 203, basically. I remember, weren't people, you had Jets fans, and weren't there people weren't there people that said he was better than Tua? Especially Jets fans? Listen, I got to go back even further. Remember all the people who told us to move off Tua because of how stacked that 2021 draft quarterback class was? Remember? Not only there were people who told us to move off Tua, there were people, I remember when we used to do the Tuesday night panel and such, there were people who would say, listen, don't draft Tua this year. Wait till next year. How's that working out? Anthony asked the question, is Wilson still better than Tua? No, he never was. The problem with Wilson coming out of BYU, and I talked about it when he was coming out, a lot of the plays he made were off structure. He didn't do a lot from the pocket. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket. He wasn't a refined passer from the pocket, and he needed a staff that was going to turn him into that, and he didn't get that staff. You know, this is just as much Zach Wilson being a bust as that offensive coaching staff in New York being a bust. I'm not going to just blame the player on this because he had the traits, had the arm, had the athleticism, but he needed to be coached up. See? This is why I talk about how situation matters, baby. You know, look at Trevor Lawrence in year 1 under Urban Meyer. Right? Situation matters. Now, everyone except Trevor Lawrence has been freaking traded in that class, it seems like. Holy jeez. But, man, listen, and Denver, what are we doing? What is Denver doing? You got rid of Russ, and you brought in a far worse version of Russ. Russ has made a career off making plays, you know, out of structure. Now you bring a guy who can't, you know, his whole makeup is making plays out of structure, but he can't really do it at the NFL level. I'm just saying. You went out and got like the busted version of Russell Wilson. I don't know what Denver's expecting with this. I mean, I have no idea what Denver's expecting. You know, does Sean Payton think he's going to work the magic all of a sudden? Now, I know there was, you know, reports of Russell Wilson not listening and not staying in structure. But, I mean, why do you think Drew Brees was so successful with Sean Payton? Because, like Tua, stays in structure, sticks to the game plan, does what's asked for him down to the T. Wilson isn't exactly known for that. And he's, you know, the thing is when you get guys who are now 3, 4, 5 years deep and they're falling by the wayside because of bad habits, it's hard to fix that. It really is. Not everyone is Tua. Not everyone is the hardest worker in the room. Not everyone is Tua. That's just a fact. Not everyone is working hard every offseason to fix flaws. You know, that's just what it is. You know, Tua, you hear Tua working like Tom Brady. You hear Tua working like Drew Brees, how those guys were always working every offseason, right? You know, you don't even hear Aaron Rodgers working ever as hard as Tua does. But I'm telling you, hardest worker in the room, it's going to come. That's why Tua's gotten better every year. You know, people told y'all he couldn't be a franchise quarterback. Showed y'all in 2022 he could be a franchise quarterback as long as he stayed healthy. Everyone told you he couldn't be in the MVP race. Last 2 years, he's been in the MVP race till at least, you know, up until the final 2 weeks of the season. They certainly told y'all he would never lead the league in passing, and what happened last year. Just saying. So, man, count your blessings that you have a quarterback that just was coming off the year leading the league in passing and is saying, you know, I ain't sitting back. We ain't done by a long shot. A lot of people wish they could have someone that worked as that hard, let me tell you. So, man, Zach Wilson, I don't know what Denver expects. I have no idea what Denver expects, what they think they're going to get out of that. Good luck to you. And New York, I got to say it. I think New York, you know, I've come up here and I've talked about it. I think that tackle's in play for New York. I think they're going to pass on Bowers for a legitimate tackle if one's there. I think quarterback's officially in play now too. You know, If Penix is still on the board, if Bo Nix is, maybe they I don't know. They shouldn't take Bo Nix, but I don't know. I've seen crazier stuff. So I think quarterback is definitely on the board. Definitely on the board now with him out of the way. Now you can bring in a guy and they can sit behind Rodgers for a year. Because I just don't see Rodgers being there for 2 or 3 years. Don't you know Sean Payton is a genius? Well, listen, there were people who, when Flores was around, they'd say, Tua just needs to ask for a trade and go to New Orleans. And I would always say, no, he needs to go to a Shanahan system if he's leaving. Listen, I talked about how Sean Payton likes his guys to be in structure, and I do think Tua would thrive with them. I really do. But the fact of the matter is, he's just so ideal for a Shanahan system. I mean, you got people out here saying, this isn't a timing-based offense. They're just, it's because of Tua. Wrong. Okay. West Coast principles at the fundamental core, it's a timing offense. I mean, you could sit here and say any passing concept in the NFL is a timing concept because, right, based on leverage, where they are at the stem of the route, et cetera, you only have a certain amount of time to throw routes in the NFL. And then guys are either too far, they're covered, they're swallowed up, whatever the case may be. They've ran towards the sideline and there's not much room. Every passing concept in the NFL is timing-based. But anyways, we run a primarily timing-based offense. Now, are we more timing-based than traditional West Coast? Yes. You know why? Because Tua Tagovailoa is one of the best anticipators in the NFL. See, these people will come out and say, he's a spot thrower. I mean, know what you're talking about. All you're doing is using more words to say he's an anticipator. That's all he is. I mean, I had JT O'Sullivan up here, and he talked about if you can't throw to spots in the NFL, you won't last longer than a year. That's just where it's at. And with every offense, you want to play to the strengths of your quarterback. Well, what if I told you that Stafford, who has a top 5 big arm in the NFL right now, what do you think he runs in LA? They won or West Coast. Timing principles. I'll do you one better. Patrick Mahomes. What do you think he runs in Kansas City? They run a West Coast offense. Timing is at the principles, at the foundation of all the principles of that offense. Now, you can do more with a guy like, Patrick Mahomes just because of how crazy he is, right? But, you got people out here, I don't want a timing guy. I want a big arm guy. So what? You want a guy who's constantly late on his reads? And just because he has a bigger arm, he might be able to fit it into that window that's closing at a very rapid pace. That's what people are telling you. That's what people are telling you when they don't want the timing offense and they want these bigger arm guys. I don't want guys who anticipate. I want guys who can leave it to the last second of every developed route and then see if they can fit it in. Who wants that? You know how many turnovers you're going to run into? I mean, there's guys in this league, Justin Fields, I've gone over the reasons why he could not run this offense. There's guys who cannot make timing throws. Justin Fields is a perfect example. Penix has issues with timing throws. Lamar Jackson has issues with timing throws. And those guys, their accuracy wavers from the short to the intermediate, middle of the field, et cetera, et cetera. Justin Fields and Penix, they have issues pre-snap and post-snap processing. When you're going to throw with such anticipation, your processing has to be elite level. You've heard Mike McDaniel talk about how, you've heard multiple coaches on our staff, Darrell Bevell, who's been around Russell Wilson, Brett Favre. You've heard these guys say that Tua is one of the quickest processors they've ever been around. You hear these guys who have said that. So you want to give up a lightning quick processor, one of the best anticipatory throwers, and a guy with keyhole accuracy just because other guy's 6'4", 6'5", blonde hair, blue eyes, and has a cannon on his arm. Make that one make sense. There's a reason why Tua has a 65% winning percentage, has never had a losing season as a starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, and we're coming off back-to-back playoff appearances, as well as he just lead the league in passing. Thank you very much. And then, well, he's got Tyreek Hill, he's got Jalen Waddle, da-da-da-da-da. Guess what? You want to hear something? Peyton Manning didn't throw for over 4,600 yards until he went to Denver. You know why that matters? That means he played with Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Dallas Clark and couldn't throw for more than 4,600 yards. Tom Brady didn't throw for more than 4,600 yards until his top 3 receivers were Randy Moss, who in that year broke the receiving touchdown record, Wes Welker, and Dante Stallworth. How many of those guys are Hall of Famers or going to be Hall of Famers between Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark, Randy Moss, and Wes Welker? Huh? And those guys Peyton Manning took like 12 years. Brady took like 6 or 7. People forget Brady wasn't in the best quarterback of the NFL conversation until after Randy Moss had come through there. Huh? People seem to have amnesia when they got to remember these kind of things, huh? Notice that? Just saying. Over 290 of you in the room. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Also, Steelers are showing preliminary interest in Connor Williams. So Connor Williams, a guy who, might not be ready at all, let alone if he is ready, it won't be probably till the middle of the season. And that's another point. We don't even got to get to the offensive line Peyton Manning had, from Jeff Saturday all the way out. We don't even got to get into that. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are showing interest in potentially signing Connor Williams if he gets healthy this season. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know what else to say. Where I'm at, we got Aaron Brewer. That's what it is. And, it's the reason why I don't think we're taking center at 21. And if Graham Barton is the pick, I honestly think it's at guard to begin. I don't think it's at center. At all. At all. Bro, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Tom Brady threw for 5,000 yards in 2007. Drew Brees threw for 5,000 yards in 2008. What are you talking about? There were multiple guys who threw for over 5,000 yards in the 2000s. That's not true at all. Thank you very much. Do your research. All right, I just named 2 guys in 2007, 2008 that threw for over 5,000 yards. Okay? What are we talking about here? I'm not at, and we're not even, and 5,000 yards isn't even what I'm asking for here. The level I'm talking about is 4,600 yards. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah, I don't, yeah. Listen, you're going to get my update tonight, Rhino. You'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, we'll even talk about the tight end room. And, it's going to shock people what I'm going to say tonight based on everything they've heard with just based on everything they've heard so far on the tight end position alone. Right? So, Anyways, let's start getting into this stuff. Let's start diving into it. Let's dive into non-draft stuff and then segue into draft stuff. Okay? So let's start off with this clip that's circulating right now of Tyreek Hill. Very interesting. Let's look at it.
From the meeting room with the coaches calling you out in front of other guys, because a lot of guys aren't used to that. A lot of guys aren't used to sitting inside of a meeting room, being the best player on their team their whole entire life, and then a coach saying, bro, you suck this play,
you ever had somebody say that to you?
Oh, yeah, this year, Miami Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Like, the play against Snead, the Chiefs. Everybody see this play against the Chiefs when motherfucker him to the floor? He called me out. He like, Reek, bro, you supposed to be the best player in the league, and you got this guy putting hands all over you like that. Man, we pay you all this money for what? And for me, I love that because I'm going to take that to heart, and I'm gonna get better from it. That'll never happen again to me in my life, man. You feel me? If a motherfucker not hold me accountable, I feel like I'm not gonna be able to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously the coaches can bypass that. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, he'll get better from it. But if he not saying nothing, like the other guys in the locker room, they gonna look at it as, oh, if Reek can do it, I can do it, and that's not getting the team better. I need everybody to get better, bro. You know what I'm saying? Baby brother Waddle, I got him up under my wing trying to teach him. I'm like, bro,
he a dog.
I want everybody to get paid, bro.
He a dog.
Everybody deserve it, bro.
So there you go. Confirmation right there. And listen, you could make the argument. I harp on Reek for his drops. Going back to 2022 against Buffalo, that was the one game where he decided not to drop the football and he caught it. That was the one game. But I do agree, and this is why I go back to, and we'll talk about Xavier Worthy here in a second. This is why I go back to Xavier Worthy. Like, this is exactly why I go back. In the playoffs, you got L'Jarius Sneed putting Tyreek Hill on his ass, who's built like a brick SHIT house. Okay, he's the fastest player in the league, football speed wise. Okay, got a way more refined, way better release package at the NFL. Knows how to use his hands much better at the line of scrimmage. And look at the problems he was having. But you're trying to tell me 165-pound wide receiver just because he runs a 4.21 is the way at 21? Please. I no way. No way. No way. I just can't get down with that. I just literally cannot get down with that at all. I'm sorry. I just can't. It is what it is. I'm telling y'all right now, no. But on the flip side, listen, holding your best players accountable, I'm sure, we haven't heard about it, but I'm sure there's plenty of times where he's held Tua accountable too. Now we're seeing that Mike McDaniel, it's not all buddy, pat each other on the back like people make it out to believe. So, for me, now, listen, if he's going to hold Tyreek Hill accountable, who's the highest paid receiver in the NFL, you can bet your ass he's holding the other people accountable too. And he should. He should hold everyone accountable. The big three, Tua, McDaniel, and Tyreek, they let us down in big games too much last year. Whether it was game planning, whether it was Tua's play, whether it was Tyreek's drops. The big three on offense let us down too much last year. All three of them need to look in the mirror and be better this year. Tyreek needs to be better. Tua needs to be better in bigger moments. And McDaniel needs to be better in bigger moments. No one is absolved from blame for last year. So, listen, that's a positive thing. I'll take that as a positive. All right? Chalk that up as a good thing. Over 325 of you in the room. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. You know what? Let's get in. I think it's time. I think it's time we get into some draft talk. Listen, I'm not I've already talked about this. I'm not a huge fan of Johnny Wilson, especially on day 2. Not a fan. Not a fan. Arturo, you can donate by, if you have the chat open, there's a little right next to the emoji thing. There's a little, like, it looks like a there's a dollar sign inside of a rectangle, right? It looks like a bill. You can click on that and you can donate. You can gift a membership. You can get a membership. You can donate a super sticker or a super chat. All right. So let's get into this. Let's start the conversation. Albert Breer this morning. This is what he said. All right. And this was draft targets and predictions. Now, when he got to the Miami Dolphins, he said first round, number 21, total pick 6, needs offensive guard, which we'll have the big board for, defensive tackle, edge, wide receiver, and corner. What you need to know, Miami has more holes than most folks realize. The offloading of Jerome Baker and Xavier Howard, combined with the departures of Christian Wilkins and Van Ginkel, have left the Dolphins with a lot of work to do under new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. Now let's start here. Jerome Baker has been replaced by Jordan Brooks, so scratch that off. Xavier Howard was replaced by Kendall Fuller, scratch that off. Andrew Van Ginkel, I would agree, Shaq Barrett is the replacement for him. Christian Wilkins, it's a whole bunch of bodies are the replacement for him. And while they've made it work on the offensive line, left tackle Taron Armstead is aging and has been hurt, and they could use help elsewhere up front too. So with all of that established, one name I've heard circled for Miami from other teams, right? You got to look at that from other teams. He's not saying from Miami. He's not saying sources from Miami. He's saying from other teams. Is Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy, who would add even more speed to the offense and perhaps give the team an off-ramp with Tyreek Hill. Oh my God. So let's talk about this. First of all, from other teams. What does that tell you? That's what other teams are predicting, projecting. I'm telling you. When the picture came out of Mike McDaniel at the Texas Pro Day, I literally tweeted out that, he was in heaven getting to look at Xavier Worthy. I literally tweeted out 2 pictures that day. The first time we saw him all smiles, and then the second time when we saw him meeting Xavier Worthy. If there isn't a more perfect smokescreen, you tell me. All right? Now, let's kill this notion. Perhaps give the team an off-ramp with Tyreek Hill over the next year or 2. In what world is this guy ever going to be Tyreek Hill? He doesn't like the physical aspect of the game like Tyreek Hill. What are we talking about right now? He's not built like Tyreek Hill. He don't like to get his hands dirty. He don't like the physical part of the game. He's 165 pounds soaking wet. What are we talking about? Tyreek Hill replacement. I can't even put that guy in the boundary. Because if I do, everyone and their mother knows it's either a bubble screen to his side or he's a decoy to a bubble screen to the other side. Other than that, I got to use him in the slaughter as a gadget guy. I'm going to tell you right now, this would be an absolutely terrible pick. Terrible pick. Terrible pick. And I'll go even further and tell you why. Bob McGinn, who does great work with Tyler Dunn at Go Long. All right? If you look at what he said and what he talked about lately, all right, he indicated, if you think about it, he indicated that there's only about 17 first-round grades on non-QBs. Then when you look at those save 17 players, they're in the top 17 of Daniel Jeremiah's big board, when you look at those same 17, right? They're out here. It seems like the industry knows and has a tap on all three of those guys. And those players are if you look at it offensively, and these are non-quarterbacks, Joel, Fatanu, Fuaga, Fashanu, Amarius Mims, and J.C. Latham. Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, Marvin Harrison Jr., Byron Murphy. No, Jerzan Newton is not in there. Byron Murphy is the tackle. And then the edges are just Latu, Verse, and Chop and Turner. And then you got Terry Arnold and Quinnen Mitchell at corner, so not even Kool-Aid McKinstry making it. You look at that tells you with those 17 names, and then you add on the fact that there's at least going to be 4 quarterbacks. Do the math. That means one of those players is going to be at 21. This is what I think. I think in terms of, I can guarantee you there's going to be 4 tackles. Alt, Latham, Fuaga, and Fashanu make the most sense. And then you could sneak Fatanu in there. Do we really see 6 tackles going in the top 20? I don't. I don't think Chop. I don't think you're going to have 4 edges go in the top 20. I think there's a chance Penix, a team in the top 15, like from 10 to 15, makes a play on Penix. The whole point and the whole reason I say this is players who pretty much league-wide consensus on these big boards that are starting to come out, they're going to be dropping to us. It goes back to what Chris Grier said when he talked about team building and how other teams build their rosters. I told y'all he was talking about teams reaching for quarterbacks. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll go deeper into why I think that on 3 takes, and as well as the info coming out for all you channel members. I think they're going offensive line. Now that I'm starting to settle in here, I think it's edge or defensive line. That's what I think it is. Sorry, edge or offensive line. And by offensive line, I mean tackle. Or guard, a tackle that can play guard or an outright tackle. That's what I think they're going. Listen, get Graham Barton just locked in at center out of your head because he can play left guard, as you'll see tonight when I show my big board. I think they're going offensive line or edge. That's what I think they're going. Now, if Byron Murphy falls, I asked this question on Twitter, and this is just me theorizing. Is the Xavier Worthy and Jatavian Sanders smoke all to mask how much they like Byron Murphy? Now, I don't think Byron Murphy is going to go. He's going to be there at 21. I think he's probably going to go in the top 12, which is crazy to me that he would go higher than Newton. I don't see it. I don't get it. But, hey, it is what it is. So, I think it's going to be either a tackle or guard that can play tackle / edge. That's what I think it'll be. Now, this is what Drew Rosenhaus had to say regarding the draft, and he had some interesting stuff. Let's see what he had to say.
Dolphins pick at number 21 on the night, Drew. If you're Chris Grier, who are you looking at?
Well, I think the Dolphins are going to take the best available player. I know they're looking at a center, Graham Barton, who can also play tackle.
He's from Duke, him against Verse.
And a really talented, versatile guy that could help the offensive line at multiple positions. I know they're looking at pass rush. I've heard Jared Verse's name from Florida State and Latu from UCLA. Certainly in the first round, wouldn't shock me if they even took a receiver, if there happened to be a guy that they love, just because Mike McDaniel can't get enough speed. A guy like Worthy, who set the combine record, I wouldn't be surprised from what I know about Mike McDaniel if he's pounding the table for that guy if he's on the board at 21. But those are some of the names that I would throw out there that I think Dolphin fans will probably see quite a bit of come next Thursday.
A buddy of mine.
I mean, Verse or Latu, I'm doing backflips, baby. Fantastic. You know, I'm even, for reasons that I'll talk about tonight, I'm starting to come around on Barton on 21, even though I still think it's a little rich. I can't get down. If Mike McDaniel is pounding the table for Xavier Worthy, Chris Grier, you need to step in. And this is why. I want you to look right now. I want you to find me a wide receiver sub 170, or you can do 165 to sub 165 as well, that's been drafted in the top 25 picks. Find me one. Do you know what kind of outlier Xavier Worthy would have to be? Do you realize what kind of outlier you'd have to be? Like, you are hoping on an outlier. And that's a recipe for disaster, man. That is a recipe for disaster. Shout out to Arturo donated to 1999. Appreciate that, sir. That is an absolute disaster waiting to happen. Now, y'all want to roll the dice on him if he's on the board at 55? Knock yourself out. But I've talked about this before and I'll say it again. And it's not just because he's my guy. What's more intimidating? A guy who's 165 and runs a 4.21, or a guy who's 221, over 6'2", and runs a 4.39 coming downhill at you? So I think that would be a absolutely terrible pick. He is on the guys. He is the guy I want the least at 21. Now you want to trade back to 30 and try and get him at 30. It's a glorified second round pick. I'm not happy with it, but I would understand that more. At 21, no, I just can't get on board with Xavier Worthy. I just can't. You need a legitimate outlier. He had 5 drops in 2023. Sorry, yeah, 2023, 2022, 2023. He had 7 drops in 2021, 2022. Now, the second half of the season, he had a broken hand. That's fantastic. But explain to me his 5 drops last year. I'm good. You got drop issues. And you're 165 pounds. Pass for me. Like, hard pass. And Mike McDaniel, if you're pounding the table for that guy, you're doing us an injustice right now. Allow me to say that. Allow me to say that. I don't see it happening. You literally need to be an outlier. Again, someone find me a receiver 165 and under that's been drafted at 25 in the top 25 picks of the NFL draft that's been highly successful. Find me it. You know what? You can't. You can't. Doesn't exist. Does not exist. Deshaun Jackson, if people are going to say Deshaun Jackson, he was also 175. He was drafted in the second round. He was like 170, 175. You can't. So you need a complete outlier at 21 for that pick to hit. That is absolutely asking for problems. You know, you think Tyreek was having issues with press against L'Jarius Sneed. What do you think they would do to Xavier Worthy? And then if Xavier Worthy does beat them with speed off the line of scrimmage, that's an easy adjustment. Okay, now I play a little off, and now I'm more focused on rerouting you. All you got to do is get hands on Xavier Worthy. You get hands on Xavier Worthy at the line of scrimmage, it's a wrap. If you get, and especially in a timing offense, in an offense that's so predicated on timing, if I jam you at the line of scrimmage, that's going to mess the whole play up. Or if you're getting a little bit of a release off me, all I got to do is give you a cushion, get my hands on you, and reroute you. And now if I'm rerouting with you, I'm just finding another way to throw the timing of the offense off. And I don't want to hear the Tyreek Hill stuff at all. Okay? I don't want to hear it at all. At all. Tyreek is 190 plus. He has almost 30 pounds on this guy. And he's built like a brick SHIT house, okay? I'm just saying. All that said to say this. Let's get into my guard big board for all of you, because, man, this film was fun. This film was absolutely fun. All right? And so let's get into this. We got a lot of guys to go over here. Let's get into the big board for my top 15 guards in the 2024 draft. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Over 400 of you in the room. Let's get it. Now let's start with the honorable mentions. At 15, Delmar Glaze out of Maryland. All right. So Glaze, 6'4.5", 315. Played left tackle, right tackle, and right guard at Maryland over the last 4 years. I think he best fits converting to guard at the next level. Strong hands that can latch and move defenders. Pretty solid anchor with a wide and solid base. Has great upper body strength. Thrives in pass protection from what I watched of him. Hand placement is a mess at times when I look at him. Get caught over setting. He isn't that agile. Plus, he's just an okay athlete overall. Glaze doesn't have fleet feet, and he does have medical concerns. He had 2 torn ACLs during his college career. That is absolutely no joke whatsoever when you're dealing with that. At 14, Javion Cohen from the Hurricanes. All you Hurricane fans, there you go. 6'4", 322. And he's a product of the Alabama offensive line before entering the transfer portal and heading to the Miami Hurricanes. He played left guard at both schools, having started 37 games over the past 3 years. What's impressive about Cohen when you watch him, to me at least, is how strong he is. And it shows in his anchor. Along with his ability to move defenders off their spot, he has a strong punch, moves fairly well in open space, and can climb to the second level well. You know, I'd say he's a better run blocker than pass protector overall when you watch him. He has issues with defenders that are prepared with a repertoire of counters. I saw him get caught flat-footed one too many times instead of keeping those legs firing and churning. He isn't, a high-level or explosive athlete, and, he's more quick than explosive, right? And, I think he's quick, but he's pretty clunky rather than fluid in his lower half from the hips down to the knees. That's what I noticed when I watched him, though. So, at 13, small school alert. CJ Hansen from Holy Cross, 6'5", 300 pounds. He's a high-level explosive athlete that looks most comfortable working in space, pulling across the backside, those kind of things. Keeps a good pad level, is consistent with it, has good bend in his knees and his lower half, has strong hands that can clamp down on defenders once inside their pads. He can seal off the edge pretty well, is quick climbing to the second level. He moves laterally pretty well as also, and he's a good run blocker that can hold his own pretty well in pass pro. Play strength needs to continue to improve. Obviously, competition level will be in question for him. Doesn't recover well if his initial punch doesn't work, and he tends to have issues maintaining his balance at times. 12 for me, it's Zach Zinter. Zinter is 6'5", 309. Flashes the ability to be absolutely dominant as a run blocker on times at tape. When you watch the tape, he's a good quick puller. Has a nasty side to him, solid anchor, has good balance on the move, has a devastating punch with bull-like upper body strength, Shows high-level awareness on stunts, twists, blitzes, and I think he can either power gap or, he can either fit a power gap or outside zone scheme as he moves really well overall, especially in a phone booth. Pad level can get high, tends to lose some leverage battles, can get beat by defenders coming across his face, isn't super explosive out of his stance, and he's coming off a broken tibia and fibula. So is he going to be another Voorhees situation where he falls much further down than his value states he should because of an injury? It's going to be interesting to see how that works out, right? Next for me at 11, Utah guard Satua Lamea. At 6'4", 319 pounds, Lamea is one of the more underrated and lesser talked about prospects of this guard class, I think. But his tape was pleasantly surprising when I threw it on. Has quick feet with good overall footwork. He's powerful with an impactful punch. He's agile, excels in run blocking as he's nasty and competitive. Lined about both guard and tackle spots in college, but mainly stuck to the right side and shows off good awareness when it comes to stunts, twists, and blitzes. Short arms and length is an issue in leverage battles for him. Opens his chest a little too much for defenders to get inside on. Pad level needs to be more consistent as does his hand usage, and he can get caught oversetting his feet once in a while, I noticed as well. But he's a good player, man. Not enough people talking about him. Getting in to 10 through 6. All right, let's start it off. Isaiah Adams out of Illinois. Listen, I'm going to shout out Isaiah Adams. You know why? That's a Canadian boy right there. There's a couple of them. He's a Canadian boy. Tanner McLaughlin in the tight end in this draft. He's a Canadian boy. So we got a couple Canadian boys out here in this draft. And shout out to Isaiah Adams for being one of those, man. Shout out to him. I'm a fan. Theo Johnson, another tight end, is a he's Penn State. He's another Canadian in this. Isaiah Adams and Theo Johnson are both from Ontario. Tanner McLaughlin is from Alberta. So yeah, there's a couple dudes in this draft from Canada that are going to get drafted. So anyways, Isaiah Adams, 6'4", 315. Someone has experience playing both tackle positions as well as left guard, where I have him transitioning to at the NFL level. But he originally actually came from a Canadian college program. He's got really good core strength, and it's seen by how strong his anchor is as he keeps a wide base. Really thrives in the physical aspect of the run game. Has good, strong hands with better than not placement that also pack a pop if he manages to land his initial punch. Shows consistency in sustaining blocks, moves fairly well for a man his size. Has a high-end motor and has a nasty side to him, whether it be finishing his blocks or keeping his head on a swivel, looking for someone to put on their ass. Footwork is just okay. Can get caught flat-footed instead of keeping those legs and those feet active and firing. Pad level needs to be a little bit more consistent. He's a better fit inside because speed rushers can give him issues. Needs to clean up the flags. He can get handsy instead of recovering to square up if he's beat. But, he's a good player, man. He is a good player. Number 9, another convert here, Brandon Coleman, 6'4", 313 pounds, with not only experience at left guard, right tackle, and left tackle in college, but also the 5th highest relative athletic score ever for a guard prospect, as I have him fitting best on the interior in the NFL. Strong, he's hard to move off his spot when he drops his stout anchor, and overall has a great frame as well as length for the position. Moves very well in open space and climbing to the second level, looking for work. Plus, I think he shows a good overall football IQ when it comes to IDing stunts, twists, and blitzes. Has some of the stronger vice grip-like hands in the class that when he latches onto a defender, they are basically at his will in terms of where and when he wants to move them. Can play upright a bit too much, which can cost him in leverage battles. Has lower extremity injuries throughout 2023. As strong as his hands are, the technique needs to be cleaned up. It can just be a mess. He can be way too wide with his hands too much. Would like to see more nastiness from him. And I think he fits better inside because speed rushers or rushers who have a really good pass rush game plan in terms of counters, they can give him headaches. So I think he best fits kicking inside. Dominic Puny, this guy, he's good, man. Puny is 6'5". I might be too low on Puny, to be honest with you. He's 6'5", 303 pounds, played at right tackle, and left guard between his time at Central Missouri and Kansas. But I think he suits the interior as a guard in the NFL best. Has a solid frame with great strength to his upper body and has a stout, sturdy frame that lets him take on power rushers with bull rushes and such. He's strong with powerful hands that can jolt defenders with his initial punch, but also has a strong grip that can help him latch and move defenders with ease if he gets hands inside their pads. Has a nasty side to him. Always keeps his legs driving and feet firing. Is good in open space and has proven himself in power gap and outside zone schemes. Now, pad level can be an issue with him as well, as he can play upright at times. He fits inside because speed rushers off the edge will give him issues. His feet aren't really quick enough, and his recoverability isn't that great. Length might also be an issue with him a little bit at the next level, which is why kicking in makes the most sense. Number 7 for me is Christian Mahogany. He's 6'3", 314. He's a great athlete, 60th best RAS of all time. He can play either guard spot for whatever team drafts him. Mahogany is an absolute powerhouse who has great length to his frame. He's got very strong, very, very forceful hands that I saw. They're certainly something. Now beyond that, he can pop more. His punch has got more pop than a can of soda. And those hands are also can act like vice grips that lock on and displace defenders off their spot. He's a really good pass blocker that has a great anchor that's able to take on and spit out power rushers. Knows how to square up and counter rushers who even have extensive pass rush movesets. While he shows good enough recoverability if he does get beat by an initial move, has fleet feet, moves laterally well, can climb to the second level well. He's good, strong backside puller and shows high-level awareness for stunts, twists, and IDing blitzers. Another guy who can suffer from his own aggressiveness. Had a serious ACL tear in 2022 in his right knee. Needs to keep his base, is a little bit more wide consistently as it can cost him in leverage. And he needs to be more efficient in space with the angles he takes from what I've seen. Going on here, moving on to number 6. And this is one of my man crushes of this guard draft class. And that's Mason McCormick. He's 6'4", 309. Possesses elite level athleticism. We're talking about the 8th best relative athletic score ever at the guard position, dating back to 1987. All right. Good upper body strength, a solid anchor to match, can reset his feet easily and it can reset his anchor and his feet really easily if he needs to. Those feet are quick. He plays with good balance due to his low center of gravity, and he's a plus pass blocker to me. Has a nasty side to him that really shows up in the run game and with his ability to move defenders, open lanes at will. He opens lanes at will, it seems sometimes, and he seals that edge off with force. Smart player that can pick up the stunts, the blitzes, the twists. And it was reported he was responsible for pre-snap adjustments and changing protections while playing left guard at Kansas. So, sorry, at South Dakota State, sorry. I apologize. So, he's a smart guy. He is a smart guy. All right? Hand placement, consistency needs to be cleaned up. For as great as an athlete as he is, the biggest letdown was his ability in open space. Isn't the most fluid mover as he can look a bit tight in his hips, can lunge or get caught being over aggressive, looking for the big finish, and he can get beat by rushers coming across his face. So, yeah, smart player. He's got it. He's got it. He's a good player. Now let's get into our top 5. Top 5. Let's start off with 5. It's Cooper Beebe. Comes in at 6'3", 322 and played well all across the offensive line of Kansas State. As he had reps at both tackle spots before settling in at left guard, and he does have minimal reps at right guard. Beebe is so strong from his lower half that he also possesses good bend when he drops his anchor all the way to his upper body. has power. He's got serious power in that punch that can put a defender on their ass. Plus, you rarely, if ever, see him get put on his heels. Has really light, quick feet. Keeps his legs churning. They allow him to mirror defenders well. Doesn't overset or get caught flat-footed or off balance. BB has a nasty side to him that really shows up with how he sustains and finishes his blocks off in the run game. Shows good spatial awareness. Has a high-level football IQ that allows him to ID stunts, twists, and blitzes regularly. Shows efficiency with pulling, down blocking. Has very strong hands that if he gets inside a defender's chest, it's pretty much over for them. And he plays with a good pad level along with a solid low center of gravity that helps him in leverage battles. Very disciplined, as he doesn't really draw flags. He had only 3 penalties over the last 2 years he played. Now, what's his biggest issue? I think it's arm length. I think that's what it is. Arm length is why I think he gets kicked in full-time in the NFL. Not the greatest lateral mover. Recovery ability isn't that great, and he can get too wide with his hands. Needs to be more consistent with better placement. That's just him. But big fan of what I saw in Cooper Beebe. Very smart player. Very high intelligence, too. He's another guy who was calling protections and shifts. Jordan Morgan, he's another convert for me from tackle. Stands at 6'5", weighs 311, and possesses some of the cleanest, quickest feet of the guard and tackle classes, right? I have him at, he made my tackle and my guard big board. Is not only young, but I think he offers versatility as a tackle if a team is in the pinch at the next level. But I think he projects best at guard. He moves well from into his kick slide all the way to reaching the second level with his feet, and that helps him work well with mirroring too. Really good pass blocker who wins with clean technical handwork more than power and violence. Using his limited length is actually one of his strong points, especially in regards to getting his hands inside, extending and locking out defenders to stall them in their tracks. He's fluid in his lower body from his hips to his bend in his knees. That matches fluid feet. Plays at a consistently good pad level that helps him in leverage battles. Recovers really well if he's beat by an initial move, and has a high-end motor that keeps him working until after the whistle. Has some downright dominant reps from college in the run game, as he can displace defenders with ease to open up run games when he drive blocks, and he shows the ability to steal off the edge well. Though he has shown the ability to work with what he was given, length may be an issue at the next level for him, and it won't be as easy to lock out defenders. Sometimes he oversets, doesn't have a lot of power in his hands. That's why I said he wins more with technical work, especially with his punch. And he's battled lower body injuries, including a torn ACL. But Jordan Morgan, like I said, he's only 21, man. Talk about a guy who, he's got a high ceiling at that position, I think. Number 3, I have Graham Barton from Duke. A fast riser on boards over the last few months. Barton is 6'3", 313 pounds, while he maintains the second highest relative athletic score ever for the guard position, dating back to 1987. Obviously, one of the most enticing things about Barton is how he's been as a prospect, able to play tackle or guard on the left side as well as center. His feet are so quick and the footwork to match is very smooth. He climbs to the second level well and moves in space very well. He can move laterally with no issues, and his feet allow him to mirror and stay with defenders. What stands out to me is just how nasty he is at times. He just isn't great at sustaining blocks, but he also beats, he also looking to beat the hell out of you when it comes to finishing the blocks off, as he's looking to take a defender's soul. He maintains a consistently good pad level, which helps him big time in leverage battles. Has great bend to his hips and knees. Plus, he shows a high level of understanding how to pick up blitzer, stunts, and twists. Can't speak about enough how strong his hangs are, from the power packed in his punch all the way to how strong his grip is, as when he gets his hands inside a defender, they are going for a ride wherever he wants him to go. They are at his will if those hands get inside. He's a great puller, successful down blocker, and overall, he's very impressive in both pass protection as well as a run blocker. Watch this play you're going to see here that's on the screen right now. He's going to take on Verse and Fiske. Look at that. Look at that. Unbelievable. Length, Specifically, the arms is not ideal at all for him. He can have balance issues that cause him to lose or end up on the ground. Tends to hold instead of recovering, resetting and squaring up, which leads to flags. While I also say he can have trouble with defenders crossing his face at time. But I was very impressed with his stuff against FSU. Very impressed. Number 2, Christian Haynes out of UConn. He's a little over 6'2.5", 317 pounds. A fantastic athlete for this position who played right guard at UConn and is my other draft crush at the guard position, who I've been pushing this guy since like January on you guys. He's explosive out of his stance with violent active hands that he does well to not let stray wide, consistently placing them well inside the defender's pads, as he also packs more pop than a can of soda with them, especially if he lands that thundering initial punch. Man, clouds part and lightning strikes when he lands that punch, I tell you. High football IQ at the line of scrimmage, all the way from IDing blitzes to calling up protections for stunts, twists, and loopers. Absolute monster in the run game. From moving defenders at will to pulling well, all the way to how he finishes off sealing the edge when he's tasked with it. Overall, he knows how to open up lanes for ball carriers. He's also great in pass protection. He has an anchor that seems to make him a damn near movable object. I never saw him but get put on his heels, really. He takes on power rushers, no problem. Can deal with pass rushers that possess fast pass rush moves as well as counters. And he shows the ability to recover really well if he does get beat at first. Moves well to the second level, is always looking for works, keeps his head on a swivel. And if he finds a defender on that second level, they are overwhelmed and regularly didn't stand a chance when he engaged, as it was man against boys. Has a strong motor that just keeps running. Thus, it keeps his legs churning and driving, so you'll never see him caught flat-footed or beat because of a lack of effort on a rep, which I know coaches will love. Lateral movement is just okay. Aggressiveness can lead to blown blocks at times because he's looking to end the existence of a defender. Length to his frame could be an issue at the next level, and it'll be quite a jump in competition from Division I FBS to the NFL. And number 1 for me is Troy Fautanu from Washington. Troy Fautanu comes in at just over 6'3.5", 317 pounds, while offering a rare versatility, being that he's not only capable of being one of the best tackles in this class, I got him as a top 5 tackle, but also the best guard in this class, as I got him at number 1. Fautanu moves well from the fleet feet all the way to his independent hand usage. Smooth moving in open space, laterally when he's tasked with pulling or climbing to the next level. Fautanu possesses more than adequate power as he displays a strong punch, drives defenders off their spot to open lanes for running backs, and has streaks in his game where he flashes a downright nasty side. By no means is he a power guy, though. Fautanu is a technician that relies on timing from his get-off at the line of scrimmage to landing a punch, while his hands are constantly placed in the right position to lock out defenders once he gets inside their pads. Shows high-level explosiveness out of his stance and in short areas. He's really good at sustaining blocks. Shows high effort with a top-flight motor to his game. Needs to improve his lower body strength as his anchor can waver against power rushers at time. Can give up too much of an inside shoulder, but you can wipe that out by kicking him inside. And he needs to display more patience and aggressive at times because he can get caught oversetting. But, man, what a player Troy Fautanu is. Absolute beast. Absolute nastiness. Look at him just finish that block off in pass pro. I'm a big fan of Troy Fautanu and what he brings to the game. If he's on the board, look at that. Boom! Pop! Get down! If he's on the board at 21, sign me up all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, baby. All right? Big fan of Troy Fautanu. Absolute stud. And there you go. We have now done 6 big boards for all of you guys. So that's 90 players have been evaluated on this channel, with 30 of those players having all 22 provided to you guys. Really almost an hour of all 22 because each all 22 thing is about anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. So, between 6 big boards, we've got between 45 minutes to an hour of all 22 that I've done. Now what's going to happen is for Patreons and channel members, you will get the rest of my big boards. You will get my linebacker big board, my cornerback big board. You will get my running back big board, my quarterback big board, my tight end big board will be coming to you guys as well. So all the big boards that did not make the video chopping block, I will be dropping them over the next few days on Patreon, as well as under the community tab for channel members, so you guys can see my top 15 at the remaining positions. So expect to see QB, tight end, running back, cornerback, linebacker. All right? Expect to see those coming your way. All right? We still got some stuff to drop upon y'all. So there you go. I will be sending those 5 other big boards out to Patrons as well as channel members. Guys, speaking of Patrons and channel members, I will have a huge 3 takes update coming for channel members as well as Patrons, and it'll be a lot of draft info, a lot of draft talk, and I'll be talking about a little bit of Jawan Holland and such too. So shout out to 1017 Man. It says, who needs monetization, and he donates $20. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially on these videos where so much work gets put in between the evaluations, the editing, and everything. Over 30 hours of work goes into these prospect videos. So I appreciate all of you guys for liking them, showing the support. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'll be back tomorrow. On Wednesday, it's a live hand-picked mock with me and Neil. And then we're live for night 1 and night 2 of the draft. Make sure you check us out. Fins up all day, every day. I love each and every one of you. And I will see y'all on the next one.